Hi, this is Jan Spencer in Eugene, and I'd like to share a small audio visual production here. This is an enhanced version of a presentation I'm going to do in Seattle on Saturday at the Northwest Eco Builders Guild Green Building Slam. I wanted to make a longer version, so let's just do our share here. Here we go. The explanation is that the slam is a wonderful idea. There are 10 people who have 10 minutes and 10 slides, so it's a ton of information in a short period of time. So I wanted to make a more detailed version of my SLAM presentation because it's just such great information. So this will probably be about a half an hour or so. So this is the uh, more information. And remember, on YouTube, you can pause at any time to take a closer look at what you see or what you want to read, because there's a lot of content here, but I'm not going to go over all of it. But I want to go into more detail than what we had in Seattle, which I'm sure is going to be a great event. First of all, these are links to related information for what I present in Seattle, YouTube, Spirit in Action Radio, Tour of My Place, Post Carbon Institute. These are all links to material related to what I present in Seattle. And this is actually the title page for the presentation in Seattle, Northwest Eco Builders Guild. Great idea to have so many people with so much good information to share. So this is actually how I started my presentation, and I'm going to read these because this is essentially what I used in Seattle. I just want to assure all the slides and content in Seattle is in this presentation. This is just a longer version. So this is how I started out in Seattle. Greetings, my name is Jan Spencer from Eugene. Thanks Eco Builder Guild for organizing the slam, and thanks participant sponsors and volunteers. My presentation is titled Paradigm Shift and Eco Building. A priority task of paradigm shift is to transform urban and suburban infrastructure to help Americans greatly reduce their enormous car-centric eco footprints. In this presentation, I want to describe expansive opportunities for eco building and encourage eco builders to identify with paradigm shift. The definition I use for paradigm shift, of course, this is important. Paradigm shift, as used here, refers to a movement towards a present and future where humans fit within the boundaries of the natural world. The goal of society is to bring out the best in positive human potential, and that society is served by an economic system that is honest and ethical. That would be different from what we have now. Paradigm shift can happen in one's own life with family, friends, neighbors, the community, and beyond. No permission required. People can enjoy many of the benefits of paradigm shift sooner than later, simply by how they prioritize time and money. This is the first image that I have for that presentation. This graphic shows my quarter-acre suburban property. Left is to the south, right is to the north. You can see the former driveway, garage to living space, edible landscape, patio to passive solar, veggie gardens, passive solar ADU, rainwater system, solar hot water. There are more green features inside the house. The cost of all these enhancements is something like a medium-sized new car or a middle-class level kitchen remodel. Although I did much of the work myself, so I need to acknowledge that I saved a lot of money by doing much of the work myself. There's no shortage of human or financial resources to create a sustainable and uplifted society. The most important need is to prioritize our own time and money to make it happen. I'm gonna do that. Okay. This view is entering my property from the street. The sidewalk is what remains of the driveway. I don't have a car. The garage is now a living space. This is when I moved in. This is current view right here. And that is the text of what I was saying. This view, this view was not a part of the presentation. This is going into more detail that I did not show. I didn't have time for this in Seattle. But this shows the inside of the garage after it was a simple remodel into a living space. That's what this image shows right here. And these are some other photos of my place. These are all current here. Didn't appear in my presentation. I produce a lot of food. This is inside my passive solar ADU, the greenhouse. This was an outdoor patio, and of course, it's now an indoor passive solar space. This is another view. This was a grassy backyard. This shows what my backyard used to look like, and this is taken recently. This is this past summer right here. This image did appear in the presentation. This view shows the south side of my property looking north. You can see edible landscaping. You can see this was the patio uh, turned into passive living space, passive solar design. The intention from the beginning, buying this place 25 years ago, was to reduce my own eco footprint and to produce more basics on site, like food, energy, water, aesthetics, income. And this is the narration right here. A community educational resource. Literally, thousands of people have visited my place over the years. The structure back here, of course, is the passive solar ADU. That's my living space, but I also use the house and I rent 3 rooms in the house also. And there's the text. The consumer culture is a social engineering scheme envisioned by public relations pioneer Edward Bernays 100 years ago. And he also had others who had these same opinions for how to manage a society. So this isn't only Edward Bernays. The consumer culture distracts and degrades positive human potential. It concentrates political and economic power. It's the cause of climate change and a long list of other familiar but often avoidable problems. Each presenter at the Slam is helping to repair the damage caused by capitalism and the consumer culture. From this perspective, our society is a cargo cult, a modern day cousin of the cargo cults of the South Pacific dating from World War II, complete with rituals, shamans, influencers, and make believe. And that is, of course, the text. So this slide did not appear in my presentation, but you can do a pause on this or any other slide to take a closer look. But this illustrates what I mean by comparing uh, the cargo cults of the South Pacific with what we have today. So do a pause, take a longer look if you like. Reducing eco footprints is an essential part of sustainability and social uplift. The United States has dominated production of carbon dioxide over the past 200 years of the Industrial Revolution. The footprint calculator ask questions about one's lifestyle, such as food choices, transportation, home life, recreation, and more, and then tells the user the size of their eco footprint and how many planet Earths would be required for everybody in the world to live like the person answering those questions. And this map shows, compares countries on planet Earth and their eco footprints. Of course, different countries have different size footprints. And of course, the footprint of the United States is the largest in the world. Uh, a common figure many of us have seen is for everyone in the world to live like the average American would take something like 5 planet Earths, and that's just average. Of course, some lifestyles require far, far more than 5 planet Earths, and that's the text, of course. So this is a supplemental slide. What I show here is that in terms of social damage, public health, political, economic, and environmental, capitalism and the consumer culture are the common denominator of all of these problems. This graphic illustrates that in this country, in the United States, and to a degree, other countries too. The United States is not the only country we could say that practices this type of economics. Of course, it's not. Uh, but it has the largest eco footprints, the biggest cars, etc. But what this graphic shows is that there are millions and millions of jobs in the United States that exist to repair the damage caused by the products and the services of millions of other jobs. That is not an honest, ethical economy right there. In other presentations and writings that I had that I made reference to earlier, I go into more detail explaining this idea. And I also mentioned that I'm writing a book, and in that book, I do I would have to say, an impressive critique of capitalism and all its mythologies that go with it. Again, critical of capitalism, and this picture did not show up in the presentation. External costs. Our economic system would not exist if it did not externalize the cost. The prices we pay for what we buy don't tell an honest story of what those products do to the well-being of the planet and public health as well. And this is not only ecological, it's also social external costs as well, completely. But you can take a pause and take a closer look. You can look up external costs online and find out more as well. This slide from the presentation, paradigm shift needs a blueprint to build common cause and coherence. This image shows the wisdom of the world's great spiritual traditions on this side, and complementary actions over here that people can take in their own lives, neighborhoods, and communities. All of these ideals and actions support each other, and they all receive a lot more attention in the book I'm writing, A Primer for Paradigm Shift. A little bit more detail, allies and assets are entities that can be found in almost any community that can be helpful, that can be allies, that can be assets to help bring about paradigm shift. Some of these entities might not even identify with paradigm shift, but there are many, many nonprofits, even city programs, faith organizations that are actively working on behalf of creating social justice and a healthy environment. Absolutely. And interesting, important to point out, all of these organizations are working like the presenters at the slam to repair damage caused by our economic system and overconsumption. Of course, in my book and other places, you can find out more about permaculture, a design technique for creating systems to take care of human needs in ways that are friendly to people and planet. You can find out a lot about permaculture online as well. Another um, Another item that I mentioned several times in the presentation is how do we prioritize our time and money? I mentioned there's no shortage of money, there's no shortage of financing to create the world most of us would like to see. It's just a matter of how do we prioritize our own time and money. And this graphic explains that. You can do a pause and take a closer look. And this item I spend a good deal of time on with my book, prioritizing time and money. This is a, a an enhanced Google view of my neighborhood. This is my house right here. And this is a dream idea right here. This is what my part of the neighborhood would look like if we did a permaculture eco building makeover of my neighborhood. Again, this is not for real. This is an idealized vision of what this part of the neighborhood could look like. Of course, my house is already there, and there are bits and pieces around the neighborhood also. I'm not the only person with these kinds of ideas. But in this idealized version, the fences would be down, property would still be private, but there would be a much higher level of social and economic cohesion. Eco footprints would be much smaller. This represents an enormous amount of potential green economics to turn what we have now into this. This would require all kinds of professions, architects, carpenters, landscape designing. This would be a lot of new jobs for eco builders and for permaculture, and the benefits would be enormous for the people who live here. And that is the text. This is an enhanced slide. This is block planning. Uh, you can go to this point on my website to learn more about block planning. But block planning is a land use tool that can help deliver something like this. It is recognized by the city of Eugene, and many other cities might have a different name for it, but it doesn't make regulations go away, but complying with regulations becomes much more flexible. So here is a place in Eugene named East Blair Housing Co-op that is not a block plan, but the co-op owns 8 properties, and the co-op can synchronize the use of those properties in a way that's like block planning. Uh, the co-op has different features, different types of benefits for living there that a suburban neighborhood, like I showed that picture, could replicate, like a tool share. There could be a place, playground area for kids, common useful space for meetings, people coming up together. Um, at East Blair, they took out a 10-car parking lot and they turned it into a party space with a sunken fire pit and picnic tables and edible landscaping. The point here is that in any suburban neighborhood, there's opportunities to improve the performance of that land use, both ecologically and also socially and also uh, economic. Uh, so to reduce eco footprints and elevate social cohesion. This is what paradigm shift is all about. This is a location in Davis, California called N Street Co-op, and this is an actual suburban neighborhood. I visited here where the neighbors came together and they um, took down the fences. This is kind of a real life example of block planning right here. So they have a website, N Street Co-op, Davis, California. You can find out more. So here's probably my favorite example of real life paradigm shift in the real world. This is Kyle Ash Eco Village in Portland. I've spent a few days here this past summer, and Kyle Ash goes something like this. Um, Over 20 years, a rundown apartment complex has become a thriving eco village. Residents of Kyle Ash reduce eco footprints, build social cohesion, produce a useful amount of food and energy on site. They have fun. They reach out to the surrounding neighborhood and a whole lot more. And next door to Kyle Ash is Annapurna. Well, Kyle Ash is 20 years old, and you can see a lot of enhancement and work's been done, and there's still a lot more to do as well. But Kyle Ash, 20 years old, Annapurna is 3 years old. Annapurna is in the early going of its own transformation. And of course, they're related with each other. The people who visualized Kyle Ash had the opportunity to buy this property here as well. So um, the point here is there are tens of thousands of apartment complexes all over the country that could become eco villages, that could be enhance individual lives and be much more gentle on the natural world. This is what paradigm shift can definitely move forward and produce for lots of more people, for lots more benefit. And that is the text. This is at Kailash. This shows what the parking lot used to look like. The parking lot was taken out, and this is a beautiful garden that exists where there was a parking lot. This is the same view, of course, right here. And these are just a few pictures I took of Kailash when I was there this last summer. Um, Lots of shared spaces, lots of shared amenities. It's a very social place. There's a waiting list. Kailash is rental. It's not co-housing. It's a rental and it's affordable. And there's a waiting list of people who'd like to live there. So this shows shared bike facilities. There's compost. Uh, there are places for people to have little garden spaces. There's this awesome tree house out in the garden area. So there's many amenities. You can go to their website, kailasecovillage.org, and there's wonderful, very well done documentation of what they've done. This is Annapurna, some pictures I took. They're in the early going. When I was there, they were putting out water lines that can service the gardens because all the grass is going to go and all of that's going to become gardens. And that was wonderful to help with that. So again, there are tens of thousands of apartment complexes all over the country. Yeah, these are some more pictures of Annapurna right here. Great story. This is another eco village in Los Angeles. This is Los Angeles Eco Village, um, a very urban location. Some definite similarities to Kailash, but this is Los Angeles, and that's uh, Portland. But the similarity is that there's an enormous amount of existing urban infrastructure that can be transformed into something positive for people and planet. And of course, uh, LA Eco Village has a website. They've got wonderful projects. In my book, a good part of the book is describing positive actions that individuals and groups are making already. There's my phone. That people and organizations are already engaged in to create this preferred future. And LA Eco Village is one of those locations. So this, I'm just going to ignore that. This is, jeez, good timing. This is a strip mall parking lot a mile from where I live. I go to this shopping area uh, for my dental needs here. My bank is over here. What this shows is there are, again, thousands of square miles of parking area in the United States that could be transformed into something positive. Could be housing, could be important businesses. This it would be a mixed use center. There'd be businesses down below, there'd be residential up above, there could be beautiful public spaces where people could come together and just enjoy being together. These images here, the buildings here could look something like this. Uh, and then there are strip mall parking areas all over the country, all over the city. This image shows around Eugene. This is where there are existing multi-acre parking lots that could do their own version of becoming a mixed-use center. And of course, this could possibly be what this piazza would look like as well. And then nearby streets could be reworked to make them friendlier to bikes and pedestrians and to transit as well. Again, this is paradigm shift. There's no shortage of money for doing projects like this. It's a matter of how do we prioritize our time and money. These are just a couple pictures I found online. This is a location in New Jersey, and a planner just made a very simple sketch of what this parking area could look like. Again, there are way many planners and architects and builders with these kinds of ideas, and some parking areas have already seen this transformation too. So this isn't any kind of a new idea. We're just historically moving in a direction where this is going to make more and more sense. It already makes enough sense. This is Melbourne turning multi-level parking into as it says, a budding gardening community space. So people have these kinds of ideas, even, of course, in other countries. So I'm just going to show a couple of other urban scenes. These are from Europe, actually. This is Houghton, Holland, which I visited. This is a new town. This isn't some old town that predates cars. This downtown center area was built to be car free. You can't go through here in a car. This place is built to be friendly to bicycles. And just down this street here, there's a wonderful train station as well. This is not some old medieval downtown. This is a new town that discourages cars. That's Houghton, Holland. And of course, I love Barcelona. The super blocks, uh, these are transformations of busy urban intersections into uh, public space for people, for kids. This right here, where the kids are playing soccer, there's benches, there's people hanging out. This was a busy automobile intersection 20 years ago. These are the transformations going on in Barcelona. There's a long way to go. They're just at the beginning of these kinds of transformation. These are some other pictures of Barcelona. You can take a pause, a longer look. You can search Barcelona superblocks, and there are videos on YouTube that do a great show and tell of what's happening in Barcelona. So, a quick mention of the book I'm writing, A Primer for Paradigm Shift. This is the contents. It's kind of a how-to for paradigm shift. You're welcome to pause and take a closer look. These are excerpts from my book, and you're welcome to take a pause and a closer look to these wonderful best of what I have to offer. These are excerpts from the book. And final thoughts. Transforming suburbia, apartments, and strip mall parking lots are a high value action for paradigm shift. And people who advocate paradigm shift and sustainability need to reach out to their city policymakers, to lending institutions, to their fellow citizens at neighborhood meetings and explain the benefits that can be gained by downsizing our eco footprints and building civic culture instead. A growing number of people and organizations are pioneers of sustainability, and they already point the way. That's like my place here. That's like Kyle Lash Eco Village and a growing number of places all over the country. Uh, we all need to share our stories with the wider community. Our greatest resources for creating a preferred future are positive human potential and our own time and money. Eco building has an enormous role to play. And you can find more information on my website, suburbanpermaculture.org. So that's what I had to share and appreciate your attention. Feel free to contact me through my website if you like. Plenty of opportunity to do more research. If you're already engaged in these kinds of projects, share what you're learning with others. We can't keep these good ideas a secret, absolutely. And there's many, many people who have got a lot of useful, practical, uplifting, positive information to share with the wider world. Okay, I'm Jan Spencer. Thanks.